used when the lock was closed to barge traffic and upstream or upriver navigation at the end of 2014.
The site is currently the largest redevelopment site in the city. Redevelopment is guided by the coordinated plan that the City Council adopted in 2021, following extensive community engagement.
The current phase of redevelopment planning that we're in began. Those structures are still on site. There's still activity on site these days.
Or structures. Explore interpretive planning that allows for phased implementation and balances the significance of the site through time and across cultures. In combination of soil cores, ground penetrating radar, and shovel testing is needed to identify whether historical structures remain beneath the surface.
The first phase of development will include a riverfront park, affordable housing, and an outdoor music performance venue known as the Community Performing Arts Center.
This Upper Harbor Terminal initiative is just remarkable. Not only is it going to change the land, but for generations to come, newer creatives coming up will have the opportunity to.
We've had kind of this tremendous testimony from folks both who've got some skepticism. Skepticism has been a long part of this project. Yeah, I think it's in the DNA of this project. And
anything that they know of about access points to and from, that would be great. But one thing I will say is I think, we could all probably agree in this room that everybody deserves clean air, clean water, clean food, and unconditional love. I think that it is odd that we are putting such an incredible initiative next to a garbage plant. I woke up coughing. I think many of us did because of the fires. But I think also to the shingle company, I have encouraged anybody if they would like to come over and take a walk over the bridge to and from down to the neighborhood and back with me sometime. I would love to facilitate that.
This project wouldn't be happening without all of the partnership from the Northsiders in this room. Very early on in this project, folks were skeptical. They said, hey, if you want to come to North Minneapolis and just put some amphitheater on the river and rake in a bunch of huge profits, we're not going to let you do that. And I think that if that were the pure intention, I think Mr. Frank would have walked away probably at least 5 years ago. And I think that...
Before we get into the plan, another thing that we really needed to work with the CPC on early was really defining who is community. And this also was a very debated topic in the first 2 years of community engagement here.
For starters, we were going to put the venue under a community benefits agreement, which out the gate, the city said they want no part of. So that is going to be an issue.
This site, the Upper Harbor Terminal, is 48 acres of possibility. It used to be a barge terminal on the Mississippi River that closed down in 2015. And now it has these old, rusting industrial structures and big piles of dirt and sand. But appearances can be deceiving. This is prime real estate, right on the Mississippi River, close to downtown Minneapolis and I-94. Planning for this project began back before 2015. The idea was to make half of this area parkland and sell the other half to a private developer. Luxury housing and other amenities could generate millions for the city in land sales and tax revenue over the long term.
The ways city gets revenue is either, to raise taxes or increase development.
The first one has to do with cumulative impacts and cumulative effects, and the fact that even if we didn't do anything with this site, the conditions of the current area are poor in terms of air quality, water quality, and soil quality. So the assumption that we don't need to do anything if this project doesn't move forward is insane.
Well, the city, if nothing happened, if the city maintained ownership of this site and used it as a place for outdoor storage, we wouldn't be making any improvements to the site. And so you're correct. Nothing would be improved under the no build scenario because no development would be occurring that would mandate any changes.
Right.
Industry along the Mississippi River pollutes the air, contributing to lead poisoning and high rates of asthma. And the foreclosure crisis in 2008 and a tornado that blew through here left many boarded up buildings and vacant lots. And yet, a shortage of housing in the metro is driving people to look at the north side, where housing prices are lower than in other areas. Wealthier outsiders are moving in. So now home values are increasing, property taxes are getting higher, rent is going up, and many longtime Northside residents are feeling even more squeezed than before. Some also feel the culture of the place is threatened.
It's changed in ways that don't value the people that are already here because they're poor and they're Black.
Nolan and many others here do not want to see this continue.
The housing and retail spaces surround the development with boat docks as well. This old grain elevator left over from the barge traffic that used to come this far north will remain incorporated into the development.
They are planning to construct an 8,000 to 8,500 seat amphitheater. It's a combination of standing room and seats.
Plan that would transform the Upper Harbor into an entertainment destination.
She says the amphitheater is a private development that will serve the community.
So you have this sort of symphony of riverfront, nature, district systems, redevelopment, infrastructure at a scale, not just managing water, not just mitigating impacts, but actually contributing this great asset, water.
Outdoor music venue, it will be 12,000 seats, and many consider it the linchpin for the entire riverfront development.
Investment in a part of Minneapolis that's often overlooked. A $300 million community performing arts center is being built in the Upper Harbor Terminal on the north side. City leaders say the amphitheater will bring jobs, revenue, and economic vitality to the area.
Some North Minneapolis residents said the amphitheater would impede river access as a privately owned performance venue. They're also worried that the businesses won't generate many jobs beyond bartending and ticket taking. But mostly, they feel ignored. Catherine Fleming is a member of a North Minneapolis community group called the Eco Harbor Co-Creation Team. They've been doing some door knocking in the McKinley neighborhood, asking residents if they've heard about the changes at their doorstep.
Our findings were that even the people as closest to the actual Upper Harbor physical site, McKinley residents could look out their back window and see the site, and they had never been approached, never heard about the project, and no one had reached out to them.
We're asking for a delay just so we can work harder, pretty much organize more to get more people to understand what's happening. There's a lot of people that do not know what's going on and do not know what's about to hit them.
O'Brien and other North Minneapolis residents plan to hold a sit-in outside the council chamber before today's vote.
Northside resident and community leader Roxanne O'Brien was at first open to the plan, but then she realized it had some real problems.
We're basically signing on to a development that might push people out. And I'm like, yo, I live here too. I live down the street. I don't want to be a part of something that, in the end, pushes people out.
She and others wanted city officials to really hammer out the things that were not spelled out in the plan, like affordable housing, environmental cleanup, and business opportunities for Northsiders. O'Brien and others began to organize neighbors against the plan. The CEO of First Avenue, who is planning the big amphitheater on the site.
Well, I just feel like everything that came to us as community needs, we've addressed. Like, we want ownership, we want jobs, we want free shows, sustainability, we want a connection to the river. I feel like that's addressed.
We need to find ways earlier in the process to engage representative groups in advisory positions that have more power, that have ongoing influence, that aren't just about reacting to something.
Like, there needs to be concrete ways to hold people accountable, and we have to be clear about that.
Smith says right now there's no clear way to hold anyone accountable for the things the community wants. So they may need to create a whole new community organization that would steer development and hold private interests accountable. If they're going to do that, they need to act fast.
A lot of communication. I think primary thing in our community that's missing is lack of information. If you don't know, then you can't react, you can't respond. I look at some of the plans and there are gates and things like that to keep people from the water. I'm like, no, no, no. We want people to actually be able to go and dip their toe in the Mississippi River. So no bars, no impediments to them being able to do that.
We did put a halt to, business as usual and got the city to pause and rewind a little bit. Not that much and not that far, but we got them to rewind a little bit.
You can hear her hesitating to call this a real victory. How much power does the Collaborative Planning Committee really have?
Here on the Upper Harbor Terminal, people have been disconnected from the river. To me, this is an opportunity to reconnect folks with the river.
That proximity makes it real. The fact that it's close, the fact that it's there, in the community is transformational. So it doesn't happen just over there. That means it happens here. And if it happens here, it means that it relates to me. And you couldn't overstate the importance and the significance of that.
It is stated that with the current conditions, there wouldn't need to be anything done, but it doesn't take into consideration the fact that there's a lot of pollution that's been taking place on this area for a long time already. And the air quality, the soil quality, and the water quality probably are really bad right now. So probably we could use some mitigation despite whatever happens on this site, even if there is no project that moves forward. In addition to that, the land use and the height mitigation strategies you're putting forward are simply just like, you're saying that you want to do zoning and conditional use permits, for example, and it's like, how does that really address the fact that there might be some detrimental outcomes from building heights this high and exceeding the current codes that we have, instead of just trying to push the codes higher? And then lastly, there was some concerns from community members about the deadline being only to June 24th of this month and not giving enough time for people to actually weigh in on what's happening environmentally at this site and for the future health of our residents.
But in general, this displacement question, what are we trying to do to disrupt it and disrupt gentrification? I always look at, who benefits. And
the other bigger piece was the fact that we wanted a voice at the table to actually make sure things were being heard. And so even though I hear you saying that the city, in effect, no matter what scenario we go through, is going to be the ultimate decider, I have to imagine not having a community entity at the table, there's a strategic decision behind that piece, right? And so for me, that entity always played a role in the fact that it was a voice of the community. It was a way to make sure that programming and all the things that are in the community benefits agreement actually actualized. And so to hear it being referred to as something that doesn't necessarily have legs or have power, I just want to make sure that's really what we're saying here, because that would be a change of what I was always envisioning this plan to be.
Yeah, that's also, again, this is a very complicated deal. I agree with you, and I think that's always been the expectation, is there's a community entity at the table, and that's the nature of the community benefits agreement, and what's the community role working with First Avenue on the operations. It's not on the ownership side. So it's like, if you think about the sandwich model, where you have at the base you have the ownership, and then the city's in the middle with the lease, and then we select an operator. That's where all the decisions are made around community benefits and like procurement and events and hiring practices and ticket fee uses and all those sort of things. And that's where the community's voice has really been that's where the community can actually have an impact during that 62 and a half years. But until 63 years, it's up at the top end, not on the bottom end.
Maybe I need to brush up on some stuff. It just seems like a change in tone, which I just have to call out because I'm hearing it.
The city would basically take an ownership-like control of the property, for those, that useful life, those 62 odd years. It's just the underlying land would be owned by a different entity.
My question is, has there been any reason to believe it will be less restrictive and easier going forward? Because once this is approved, it goes to the Planning Commission, we lose control over everything, it seems to me.
I guess I would say my assessment there would be that this will be treated like every other project.
There appears to be a tremendous effort to ensure the community benefits from the revitalization. They went on to say they have valid concerns about the project accelerating gentrification, displacing residents, and less investments in projects like affordable housing and small business support.
This one is for disparities that have existed through the city's negligence and disinvestment. It's very unique and different. It's been unique and different in its work and its challenges. So on that basis alone, I'm asking us to stand together in unity and approach the city council.
And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Thank you. All right, our last item of public hearing is conveyance of properties that are located at Upper Harbor Terminal site. I'll welcome Hillary Holmes from CBED to give us the presentation. Welcome.
Development of the city-owned Upper Harbor site. Among the multiple actions related to the Community Performing Arts Center in front of you today, CPED is recommending approval of terms for a redevelopment and funding agreement for Port of Minneapolis LLC to construct the Community Performing Arts Center.
The design and community benefits program of Upper Harbor has been shaped by almost a decade of deep community involvement, constantly changing and adapting the vision to reflect the needs of North Minneapolis. And in 2025, just the last couple months, the council accepted the state grant and approved the MPCA noise ordinance, clearing the way for construction, and we are now shovel ready. It's a new model of what cultural infrastructure can look like when it's built through authentic community engagement, public purpose with committed local partners. Let's take the final step, move the project forward for a full council vote, and create the cherished community asset Minneapolis deserves. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I'm the Chief Financial Officer for the Minnesota Orchestra. We are here asking for your support on this project. The Community Performing Arts Center project and its community benefits are unique. The amphitheater brings together two pillars of the Minnesota arts ecosystem, First Avenue and Minnesota Orchestra.
I've been a Twin Cities person for the last 40 years, and I've not yet seen a scalable opportunity for a community as this one presents here today.
We spent 2.5 years working on this plan, which you finally approved. And it's been approved, and this is the step one. Now the question should be raised, and perhaps I'm the only one that will raise it, is that while I am definitely supporting moving forward aggressively on getting this amphitheater up, because it makes a destination point for the Upper Harbor redevelopment in an area that this city chartered as the Negro slum. We know there are forces operating against us. Let me be clear, because you are the people who represent us. You're the closest one to us. This area of the city belongs to the residents of North Minneapolis first. This is to minimize gentrification. But brothers and sisters, we have enemies working against us. Even though you approved this plan, the mayor signed off on this plan, the Metro Council invested money in public utilities, the state invested monies in public utilities, and CPED invested and the city invested in getting some jobs created. But why? Ask yourself why in 3 years, Minnesota Housing Finance Agency has not allocated a single nickel for housing, where we got the largest amount of homelessness, the most encampments. We contribute more financially to the city than any other. They don't argue agriculture does more, I argue finance does more, and Minneapolis is the largest contributor to the state. Yet none of that money, we got thousands. waiting for homes, and we haven't got an allocation in 3 years, and yet you cleared that land, purchased it, put in the infrastructure. Why are we there? So I urge you, step one, but you got to send the message to the community. Step one is just the first step. Step two has to occur, and it has to occur now. Our people on the streets are homeless, man. People, I implore you, before I leave this planet, approve this plan and make sure you advocate for the housing we so justly deserve. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely,
and I appreciate you. God bless you all. And I still respect everyone on this council. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next, right, thank you. I see no one else. With the motion, all those in favor for approval, all those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Thank you so much for coming and speaking. Next, we have
on Minneapolis's north side in decades. And the Upper Harbor Terminal project along the Mississippi River just got a big boost from the state of Minnesota. It's a multi-million-dollar grant for a new outdoor music amphitheater. Jay Coles is here. He talked with north side residents who are optimistic about the project, Jay, and what it could bring to the area.
Yeah, they're really optimistic, Kristen. They haven't seen anything like this in a long time. It's a pretty big deal. It's a $12.5 million grant to get started on building the outdoor music.
For generations, the North Side has been separated from one of its most vital assets by a massive highway, a whole lot of heavy industrial, and young kids on the North Side would have lived a half mile away and maybe even not known that there was a riverfront there. Why? Because they couldn't touch it. They couldn't get to it. Now what is beautiful is that we are all flipping the script. Not only do we have like 40 acres worth of park space, a mile stretch right here along the Mississippi River, but and one of those extraordinary things that will now happen because the financing has been complete, the design is complete, every final hurdle has happened to make sure that the North Side Community Performing Arts Center will take shape right on this land behind us. Yes. I just want you to take a step back and imagine what this is ultimately going to be like, you know? Rather than this blank slab of formerly industrial space, you will have a beautiful outdoor amphitheater.
Because I want individuals to be able to come and experience North Minneapolis. And so this is what I would consider a destination opportunity. And we will continue to work because it's teamwork that makes the dream work. And so I have the pleasure now of bringing up my House member, and we work as a team, but he's also the bonding chair. And so I'm really excited about that.
Hey,
finally, after 9 years, this is going to be a reality. The state of Minnesota invested over $25 million into this project. And this is an investment in not just North Minneapolis, but throughout the entire region and the entire state of Minnesota.
For far too long, this community has been underserved and faced disinvestment. This project is a step towards changing that narrative, and it shows that Northside residents matter and deserve the same investment in other opportunities as other parts of this city. It lays the foundation for a future where Ward 4 residents don't have to leave their community to find opportunity. They can find it right here.
I want to especially say a thank you to the community members, Markella, Mr. English, Kenya, everyone from the CPC who couldn't be here, who worked with us, and when the initial plans didn't meet their vision and their expectations, worked with us to co-create a vision, community-centered development. We look forward to building an 80,000 capacity, world-class inviting boutique urban amphitheater that anchors and spurs real change in our city and potentially beyond.
This amphitheater a reality. These individual funders were drawn to support the project because of a shared belief in the importance that music plays in our city. The arts and the orchestra can help to strengthen this city.
The opportunities that not only that we're offering, but that we receive. Thank you so much.
Wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. Hey. I want to say something here, though I don't want to irritate my colleagues. But you see, you cannot repeat what's going on here today to see it's in its full context. First of all, the people that need to be thanked first is number one, CPED and the people who spent 5 years planning, coming to meetings every other week, no food, and spending their Saturdays planning this thing. This is the first time the planning comes from the ground up. That was your concept. But there's something missing. Our most critical aspect in this community is housing. And while I'm happy to see step one, you need to ask ourselves the question, why is the amphitheater more important than housing? I'll tell you, it's political.
That's our phase two. We will focus on housing in phase two.
Request to create housing here that is attainable to Northsiders, and that's what we've tried to do, especially in phase one with two affordable projects, mixed income projects with a heavy focus on it being attainable. And then there's about 520 units. Phase one will deliver about 270 of those units, 275 approximately, sorry. A graphic depiction of the phase one housing building that would be dedicated or would be targeted toward families.
The first phase of development will include a riverfront park, affordable housing.
You need to ask ourselves the question, why is the amphitheater more important than housing? I'll tell you, it's political.
That's our phase two. We will focus on housing in phase two. Without further ado, we turn the mic back over to our mayor for Mayor Jacob Frey for more questions. Thank you.
As you can see, we're all pretty damn excited. We'll open it to any questions you might have.
Mayor Frey, we heard from some businesses on West Broadway today who said they're concerned that this will result in gentrification, displacement of residents and businesses, and possibility of lack of funding for projects like affordable housing. How would you respond?
Repeat that one more time. So the businesses are saying that it's displacement?
That this could result in gentrification, displacement of residents and businesses, and also a lack of investment in other projects like affordable housing and institutions. How would you respond?
Here's what I say. When we talk about gentrification, the goal is not to ensure that communities don't have the assets that they need. The goal is not to prevent wonderful things from taking place on the north side. When we talk about pushing back on gentrification, to be clear, this was largely 40 acres worth of formerly industrial, but then largely vacant land. And so to that extent, there wasn't displacement. To that extent, what this is connect.
How soon until we do see housing?
We could speak the timeline, Eric.
And the housing projects are in evaluation with the state of Minnesota for funding. The city and the county have funded the first phase, which would just be to the south of or to the north of us here. We're hopeful to get funding for that project in the coming year, and so it'll be about a 3 to 4 year process before the first project is developed.
Will that one be affordable?
It's a mix. So the project has a mix of affordable housing and market rate housing, so that
ultimately 100%
not concentrated.
A building that's
100% into the plan.
affordable at 30% is nearly impossible to get financed.
Performing Arts Center is happening, everybody.
It does not prohibit us as a group of people who are interested citizens who have spent years working on this to provide some level of oversight as it goes through a council that is known at best for its contentiousness. So I'm not ready to quit watching, so to speak, in that regard. And I would urge my colleagues on this to continue watching. And I think that's the spirit of, I won't speak for Ms. Lemons, but it was the spirit of that at least struck my spirit as something that we need to pay attention to. Because I have not forgot
they're without some frenemies out there. And that's when they use their political clout, often with superior clout to any marginalized communities, to have their way. So I just think we need to pay attention. We need to continue to be alert and to lobby. And I would strongly urge us to stay in touch with each other by any means necessary. We all know each other. We all got our emails, addresses, and nothing prohibits us from meeting together as a group of interested citizens who've delved much into this space and spent a lot of time, energies on it, to stay alert, stay tuned, and be woke, as the common phrase is now.